Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today for this short talk about viruses. Today I want to talk about viruses, but not the bad ones, the good ones, the friendly viruses. First of all, where does the name virus come from? It comes from Latin, where originally it meant poison or venom, and probably it was pronounced as virus, but we don't know, we weren't there by the time. The term underwent a conceptual evolution in the late 19th century when it became synonymous for an infectious agent that could pass through porcelain filters. So it was a filterable infectious agent, and those filters were capable of trapping all known bacteria. So it was something smaller than that. And then, of course, they've been identified. How many viruses are there around on this earth? Well, nobody knows for sure, but we're talking about millions, probably even billions of viruses. And fortunately, only a few of them, closer to 200 or 300, 200 or 300, not 1,000, just 200 or 300 viruses are harmful for our health. And we know that a few of them are directly pathogenic to humans, like, common cold, or the flu, or something much more serious like Ebola, for example. But the majority of viruses are not harmful at all. On the contrary, they are helpful. So much helpful that they have been integrated into our human DNA. If we go and sequence, so we count all the different base pairs in our DNA, and we find that about 8% of our DNA is made of sequences derived from ancient retroviruses called human endogenous retroviruses. So they represent the genetic remnants of ancient viral infections that occurred millions of years ago in the reproductive cells of our ancestors. So we as humans, we have evolved with viruses. And as a matter of fact, recently it was discovered that we have a virome. Virome is a similar word to microbiome. So we have viruses inside our bodies in this very moment. And being healthy, I have no cold, I have no flu, hopefully I have no other infection, but still I have billions and billions of viruses in my body, and you as well. It is estimated that a healthy adult, as I hope I am, harbors approximately 300 trillion. 1 trillion is 1,000 billions. So 300, these numbers are even difficult to imagine. There is 1 trillionaire in this world, but still it's difficult for me to imagine these numbers. Whatever, 300 trillion viral particles throughout the entire body. And to put this into perspective, the total number of physical viral particles is 10 times greater than the total number of bacteria. And there are many bacteria we know in the microbiome, and it is about 30 times greater than the total number of human cells that make up my body. So today, scientists are talking about the human virome. And as a matter of fact, there is a project from the NIH, the National Institute of Health of the United States, that wants to map, so to analyze, to categorize the entire human virome. And they put a lot of money on this, and they began the systematic mapping in 2025, looking for our own healthy viruses in the intestine, where there is the majority of them, in blood and saliva. Now, what happens to our virome, which, as I said, is an integral part of our bodies, and it is very important for our health when we are born, and then when we become not so young as I am, being 70. So in the infancy, the virome is very biodiverse. So there are many, many different species of viruses, again, healthy viruses. And then with the passing of time, there is a decline. And there is a decline in the number, not in the number of the viral particles, but in the number of species. So our virome becomes less biodiverse. and there is a shift in the types of viruses, in the families of viruses. But what is interesting, that if we reach 100 years, as I hope I will in 30 years from now, the virome is highly diverse. So it appears that those who are able to perform the so-called healthy aging, so to arrive at 100 years in good health, they have a highly diverse virome, so many different types of viruses in their bodies. And these viruses, they perform a number of functions. For example, the so-called lytic phages are viruses that go and kill the bad bugs, the bad bacteria, and also the other bad viruses. So protect ourselves or protect the centenarians from other infections. And they are the so-called AMGs, accessory metabolic genes. So these viruses, they provide genes that code for proteins that favor the metabolism, and also the sulfur metabolism, which is important as we age. All this leads to a greater vitality. So it appears that the more diverse our virome is, the better it is for us, in particular when we age. As a matter of fact, the dysbiosis, so the imbalance of our virome, has been correlated with a number of conditions, from obesity to type 2 diabetes, cancer, and neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. For example, we know that an altered virome is associated with the neurodegeneration and with inflammation. And of course, these are not good things that are not helpful for the healthy age. Now, talking about viruses, which are the most important viruses in our bodies? They are the so-called phages. Phages is a short for bacteriophages. Bacteriophages, they are called so because in ancient times it was thought that they were going killing or eating, if you wish, bacteria. And this is actually what they do. They go and kill bacteria, but, and this is important, they go and kill the bad bacteria, those that cause inflammation, those that cause infections, and so on. So the most important class of viruses in our bodies are the phages, because they limit the life-threatening opportunistic pathogens such as Clostridium difficile or E. coli or a number of other pathogens. So these are the friendliest among the friendly viruses that we have, the phages. As a matter of fact, more than 100 years ago, before the antibiotic era, before chemotherapy, before radiotherapy, the so-called therapy with phages, therapy with viruses, therapy with these viruses that go and kill the bad bugs, was heralded as a new frontier of medicine. But then, came the chemistry of the antibiotics, came chemistry of the chemo, came radiotherapy, and so this type of therapy, of natural therapy with viruses, with phages, was discarded, was kind of forgotten. Not everywhere in the world, not by everybody, but the mainstream medicine, so to call it, kind of forgot about the phage therapy up until recently. Recently, with the appearance of antibiotic-resistant bacteria, with the appearance of a number of other conditions, then the phage therapy has been rediscovered. And again, it is called the new frontier of medicine. If you go and Google phage therapy and the new frontier of medicine, you can find a number of scientific articles as well as articles in journals for lay people, not for scientists. Now, here comes Bravo. Why Bravo is unique? For a number of reasons, I will not bore you to death now by listing all the different uniqueness properties or unique properties of Bravo. Just this one. Bravo contains phages naturally. No one put those phages there. They come with the bacteria, they come with the fermentation process. So Bravo contains naturally phages. Of course, it contains a number of prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics. And phages could be considered among the so-called postbiotics or the theater of action of the microbiome. Whatever the case, we have demonstrated and we have published, and this is the paper if you're interested, if you can go and download the paper that is entitled Phage Composition of a Fermented Milk and Colostrum Product. So by using DNA analysis, we analyze each single phage that is present in Bravo. And these phages, they do a number of things. And here it would be too long and probably too boring to describe each phage in detail, but you can find everything in this publication. Let me just say that these phages, they help with DNA repair. So they help with the DNA integrity. They help with the immune system. They help with they support the GCMAF immune support of Bravo. They do a number of things, and they all contribute to the maintenance of our good health. So Bravo is the only probiotic in the world, if you want to call it so. We prefer to call it a microbiome restoration system, but whatever. Bravo is the only in the world that naturally contains phages that have co-evolved with the microbes of Bravo, with the probiotics of Bravo, and they help supporting our good health. And of course, we have future directions and integration because we want to integrate these in personalized nutritional strategies. And this goes hand in hand with a further Virome characterization. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. Friendly viruses in our bodies, friendly viruses in Bravo, and all these, let's hope that help us reach 100 years old of age in very good shape. Thank you and bye-bye for now.